The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for February 19th, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 46, episode number 560 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard, and oh my gosh, she is back.
Oh, that's right. I am back to a nice, gloomy New York State. Thanks for, having it rain when I come back from the Sunshine State. But I am Taylor Welch.
And personally, the agreement that you and I had was you were supposed to bring the warmth back with you. You did bring some warmth, obviously, with you. It was a little warmer these last couple days. But please do make us all feel bad for the next 30 seconds and tell us how your vacation was.
It was so nice. Like, I've never, ever wanted to go to Florida because I'm not a hot weather person. I like the different, seasons we get here. And so it's never been on my mind to go to Florida. And boy, oh boy, is this the absolute perfect time to go. It is sunny. It's warm enough that you can go out in a t-shirt, but it's breezy enough that you can always throw a sweatshirt on if it gets to that point. Like, I wore a sweatshirt every night, and there was one night I could see my breath. And I was like, it's getting kind of chilly down here. I was actually very shocked by that. But it's like the perfect temperature. Yeah. It was wonderful. The sunshine alone was worth it.
How was the racing? Now, as some people probably would think, you guys were at the Daytona 500, but you weren't. You did go to Daytona, and I know you toured the premises a little bit because you sent me pictures of my favorite race car driver, Dale Earnhardt Sr. So I know you were there, but you guys were actually watching short track racing. How did that go? You were there for multiple days, correct?
Yeah, the entire week, actually. Well, I mean, technically the entire week, yes. But one of those days we did go to a different dirt track just to kind of check it out and just to, notch it off your bucket list, as they would say. But it was a lot of fun, just kind of getting the experiences that we had. And so if anybody doesn't know, Jeremy makes GoPro videos with race car drivers. He puts the camera on the car and then he edits them and puts them together. And so he's made a lot of connections with drivers. And this week alone that we had down there was just absolutely phenomenal. All the drivers that we met with were so nice and so awesome. And the one driver that we actually got really close with, the people who own his car gave Jeremy free merch for putting cameras on his car. And it was a great thing. It was a lot of fun. We made a lot of friends, and we actually we met people from Indiana. There was a old man who introduced us to the guy that he helps. And he's from, I think, Connecticut, I think is what he said he was from. And we talked about weather. It was everything. And so it was just a lot of fun. And we wanted to do a tour of Daytona, but because we weren't there early enough, we had to be there, I think, Monday or Tuesday. And we were going there on Wednesday, I think it was. So when we were going there, they were doing practice. So they didn't have any tours that day. So that was a little bit disappointing. But on that note, we actually got you something that you'll have to wait until the next home game to get. But yeah, we actually bought you something.
Well, being that said, I actually have something for you the next home game, but it won't be the 28th because I will not be at February 28th game, which is, I know, the weekend that they're wearing a specialty jersey. I think it's Asha week. The Asha game, which is the black and white jerseys that they did announce on the Tully's Good Time show tonight. I will not be actually at that game. So we are going to have to wait even a little bit longer after that because I have a gift for you. So, yeah.
Oh, boy.
So I
was all excited to give you a gift. Now you've got something for me.
Yes. We will be gift exchanging apparently at a game. So fans, if you want to give us a gift, you can come up and give us a gift too. But we're going to be giving each other gifts here in just a few weeks. So Taylor, so you guys start heading home. When did you guys start heading home? Was it Saturday night or Sunday morning?
It was Sunday morning. So we had a lot of debate because with obviously the Daytona 500 being on Sunday.
Right.
We went very much back and forth on, do we stay and go? Do we not stay? Do we go home? Like, what's the game plan here? And we kind of discussed it, and we kind of like, we thought about it, we talked about it, and then we left it alone. It was something that you just didn't want to bring it up because you were just, So my theory was that the Daytona has been pushed back so many times because of rain.
Yeah.
That I was like, we're not going to change that. I'm like, if we're going to stay, then we're going to be a day late. Then we're going to be behind. We have to change the car rental. We have to change, all this other stuff. I was like, and then if it gets rain, like if there's a rain delay, then it just puts us even further back. And then we still have, because we didn't fly down. We drove in, I think, 15 hours.
Wow.
So I was like, it would just add to the day and just make it long. So we decided to leave Sunday morning. We slept in a little bit. I think we left at like 7 or 7:30, and then drove the rest of the way home. And we didn't hit snow until I think we hit PA. And then there was like a decent winter storm happening in southern PA, and it was like turning into ice. So it was like, it got kind of sketchy in a couple spots on the way home. But once we got out of like Scranton, it was perfectly fine. And, the roads were clear and everything. But he was an absolute rock. He drove the entire way down, and he drove the entire way home.
Wow. And you guys started to preview or start to watch the Port Huron series, correct?
Yeah, and pretty much the biggest takeaway for him is he just told me that the next time we go to Port Huron that we're going. So I don't know if that's a good thing. But yeah, in Port Huron's an arena that we haven't been to, and it seems like some exciting things happen there.
Well, I was gonna ask you. So before you guys started driving home, and you watched a little bit of the game at home. I know you watched Saturday's game a little bit today because you knew we were going to be talking about it. But did you see the reaction online from fans after the game Saturday night?
A little bit here and there. So at Volusia, it had this wonderful thing where the cell service was almost non-existent in certain spots. So for a good portion of my entire week, I just had no cell service, and it was actually kind of nice. But you get in these random spots at the track, and you'd get service, and he had it better than I did, which is insane. We have the same phone company. But he was, he would check up on the score and check in the game, and he would tell me things that were happening or going on. Like he's like, oh, this is the score. This, somebody just got a penalty, whatever was happening in that moment. And we kind of just checked it periodically. And it wasn't until I think we got back to the hotel, but at that time we're, packing up and getting ready to leave the next morning. So I did see it a little bit here and there. I saw a lot about the ref situation. I think that's probably the biggest thing I saw was the complaint about the officiating.
Yeah.
As far as, the whole Port Huron and relations and that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I saw much else, honestly.
All right. Well, we're going to get into it in just a few minutes. So, all right. Black Bears and Power Play Post Show fans, the 11x14 poster giveaway is back, and for you here on the Power Play Post Show. Apparently, I cannot talk. We know you've got your favorite Black Bears player like Dan Stone, Jacob Shankara, or Ivan Bondarenko, and now you have a chance to bring them home, or a Black Bears player in a big way. We're giving away not one, but two 11x player posters, printed, sharp, and ready to hang. Here's how it works. At some point during the show tonight, we're going to drop a special code phrase. When you hear it, and by the way, it's a really cool code phrase. I try to come up with them on my own, and I eventually end up saying, Taylor, what do you want? And hers is always better. It's true. It's true. I had two things written down for the code phrase, and literally I asked you, and you had a better one. So
it's funny because every time that you bring it up to me, I'm always like puzzled. Like I don't like open the message immediately. I'm sitting there thinking, and then I'll say something to Jeremy, and we'll say a couple things back and forth, and then I'm just like, this one.
Yeah, and it's good. So when you hear it, send that code phrase directly to Taylor via direct message on Facebook. And by the way, fans, we're doing two because we missed last week. And just like calling in to win a contest, if you're the first person or the fifth person or whatever numbers, because it's going to be two, for this episode, boom, you will win. If you win, we'll have your poster printed and ready for you at a future game. Now, if you guys pick this one up or next week's up on the 28th and I'm not there, the only request I have is that someone takes a picture of Taylor and whoever is getting the poster so I can put it up in our album on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Okay. So we'll be doing this regularly. So if you don't win this week, and you got 2 chances, there's 2 people that can win, keep listening for the next chance. Stay locked in and get ready. That's the code phrase. That code phrase is coming up later in the show.
And I've loved the fan reaction when it comes to people messaging me. It's honestly, it's been so much fun because, they'll message me and I'll tell them if they've won or not. And then they're just, either way, they're always so excited. Yeah. And it's been so much fun. And then if somebody does win, like I think the last winner that we had, they could not believe that they won. Because they messaged me later in the day and they're like, there's no way. And I'm like, you won. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. And then, no. And I'm like, yeah, you did.
And she got the CJ Stubbs poster, correct?
Yes. Yeah, she was very excited about that. I was excited about that. It's one of my favorite posters. I mean, I can't really say that about it much because I like them all. No,
they've all been good. They're all good. I mean, the photographer is phenomenal, but the artistry of the who created them is pretty awesome as well.
It's been fun. The Power Play Post Show relies on your support to grow. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like the episode. Those actions help YouTube recommend the show to more hockey fans, expanding our reach and supporting future content. Subscribe and like to help the show continue moving forward.
All right. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for the Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Be sure to like, comment, and share the latest episodes with your friends. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. And coming up on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, Binghamton Black Bears forward Nick Swain. And I was really excited to talk to Nick because the last time I talked to Nick, we did it up in the press box, and it was him and I up there in the press box. But this time we got to really just talk about hockey this season, and even a little bit about the Port Huron series that we're going to talk about now.
Oh, yeah. Now we get to the meat and potatoes and the nitty gritty of the fun Saturday game.
Yes.
Conversation about the fallout from Friday and Saturday's game, CJ Stubbs and Gavin Yates suspensions. So as it has come across, CJ Stubbs has been suspended by the league for 2 games. The Stubbs penalty was initially abuse of officials, then changed Monday morning to the derogatory language, taunts, or slurs 36 hours after the game went final. And I know that's something that you had, stressed about when you...
It pisses me off. All right. So this is why I wanted you to read this stuff so I could basically react. So basically, it's like a call and response here. Taylor's going to call for me, and then I'm going to respond in an irrational way. The thing that bugs me the most about this is if it was supposed to be derogatory language, taunts, and slurs, and I want every single person that works for the Fed to listen to this. If you can't fix it on Saturday night, don't change it. Because what do you tell us all the time? Oh, we can't change a goalie who came in and the off-ice official didn't put it in there. We can't change. We can't go back and change finals. Then why the F can you go back and change a penalty 36 hours after the final? The integrity of the game is being ruined by a bunch of idiots that are incompetent and stupid. And you guys are okay to do this so you can suspend a player. But you can't do it for the integrity of the game to say that a goalie did this or a goalie got that. And it's usually the goalie stats that they screw up. And it's usually the goalie stats that when people ask, why can't you change that? They say they can't change it after going final. Stop lying to the fans. Stop lying to the people that are putting money in your pockets. You're a bunch of scumbags because of this. Because you have no respect for the game. It pisses me off.
I mean, we've seen it before where it's happened to players too. I mean, that one game where everybody on the Black Bears should have had a point, and yet they left Dan Weber off because they never gave him the assist.
And it's clear as day.
It messes up everybody's numbers. It messes up everything.
Yeah, it's the integrity.
So for everybody who was at that game, they know that Dan Weber had the assist on that goal, and every single player on the ice had a point for the Black Bears. But yet the score sheet is going to say something different, and it ruins a lot.
Yet 36 hours later, Monday morning, you can go and change that penalty. Just because it suits your prerogative, and this is probably a Paul Jean thing, because Dave Jackson, guess what he was doing? He was on vacation. He couldn't even take a phone call from the owner of the team, from the Black Bears. Couldn't even take a call. Said, no, I got a text. I'm on a cruise, like he's probably in the Bahamas somewhere, right? So Paul Jean's out there finagling with the game final report and putting on an extra penalty because he wants to suspend CJ Stubbs. Why? Because he wants to punish Brant Sherwood. Now, Brant Sherwood said to me, in the summertime, I made up with all these guys. Everything's cool. And I told him, watch your back, because they're not on your side. They're still against Brant Sherwood. And that's really what it comes down to. So they changed the game final from abusive officials, which for some reason they put that in there, and then they made the change. Now, if you knew that it was wrong, change it the night of the game. That's how you keep the integrity of the game proper. And you do it with goalie stats too. You do it with Dan Weber getting that freaking assist that he should have gotten, which is ridiculous. All right, let's carry on.
So on that note of suspensions, Gavin Yates was suspended by the league for 4 games for derogatory language, taunts, or slurs, his second time in 12 months.
Yeah, so apparently, according to the people that are trying to suspend these guys, Paul Jean and whatnot, apparently they said the same thing. This is the part that cracks me up. Apparently, Gavin Yates and CJ Stubbs said the same exact thing to this referee that supposedly is a fan of the Port Huron Prowlers, who has boasted about it, who has received money from the Prowlers through a charitable donation for a great cause. I mean, I'm not going to take away anything from the cause of the matter, but man, there's a conflict of interest. And apparently he's feeding information to Paul Jean saying, hey, you guys got to do something about these Black Bears, because apparently when they come to Port Huron, they turn into evil devil-like people and, call people names. And obviously they can't handle those names. But apparently they said the same thing. Now, I have a hard time believing that Gavin Yates and CJ Stubbs share a vocabulary. They don't share a brain. They're not the same person. They're not twins. One's from Utah, one's from Massachusetts, and nothing alike right there. And one is short, one is really super tall. One looks like Dan Weber and one doesn't. Okay, it's that simple. I don't understand how they apparently. I've been waiting for this. I was sick all weekend, and I've been waiting for this. Taylor, you are never allowed to go on vacation ever again. No, it was the Dan
Weber comment that got me.
Well, I had to bring up something. How do you know it wasn't Dan Weber that said it? Right? Oh my freaking God! So then, so. If it's now, listen, I know the Black Bears appealed. When I listened to the Tully's Good Time show, Taylor, it sounded like from Brant Sherwood's conversation with Brooks Hill that it doesn't look like these have been rescinded by the league. So I think they're going forward. That means that Gavin Yates now is out for 4 games. So 2 games against Watertown, and then I think the 2 games after that, which would be the Danbury home and home series, which leads into the Asha weekend. And then, of course, CJ Stubbs will be out this upcoming weekend. We already know that Dan Stone, well, we'll talk about Dan Stone. He's going to be out. Sirota's still not back. So this team's going to be a little short going into this weekend against the Wolves.
I'm not too worried about the Wolves because, people have been paying attention to their transactions and they've made some pretty crazy ones. I know one that I saw earlier, and I saw Gary Ryan had actually made a comment about it because I saw he had shared a post, and in that post when he does the transactions and stuff, that there was one about Klink, and then I went and looked for it and it was gone. Yeah. But then I saw that he had made a comment on something else about, they're trying to trade him. Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. They traded, they traded Colgan. They're trying to trade Klink. They just made a couple other trades, and it's very weird kind of what they're doing up there, at least in my opinion.
I agree. I don't know.
I'm not, unless they, he's got something up his sleeve and he's like waiting for the right time to release it. I don't know. But like as of right now, I'm pretty sure they only have one goalie.
Matt Lenz.
And I'm not like, I know that we're going to be short, and these guys, they're going to, the guys on the ice are going to have to work harder because they're going to have to take either longer shifts or quicker shifts, or just kind of really put the effort in. But these guys, that's what they do. When something happens, it happened in Saturday's game. They took CJ out in the second period, they took Yates out in the third, and Brandt was off the bench in the second. So, these guys, they know when they need to step up and they know what to do. So truthfully, I'm not worried about the games against Watertown. Even Danbury is they haven't really given much of a fight. I mean, Port Huron's probably the biggest fight that we've had this season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Danbury or Port Huron's very good at kind of, matching Binghamton in the way they play their game.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the games this weekend, I'm not surprised with how they win. I am surprised that I feel like, the Black Bears were more physical than they have been. Like, there was a lot of body on body, a lot of it came from Shankar, Emery. Yes. But
Austin D'Orazio too. Austin D'Orazio got some hits in that actually led him to get into a fight as well, which leads us to a point that we're going to make in just a few minutes as well. But I agree with you. We came out physical against Port Huron. I think more so we tried to play their game a little bit more than them trying to play our game.
Yeah, and I'm not even like upset about it. Like, I know that they were in the penalty box a lot, whether that was because of the ref or because, they deserved the actual penalty, whatever the situation was. I do know, they were in the penalty box a lot, but at the same time, they've got the number one penalty kill. Port Huron was putting themselves in the box just as much, Binghamton has a great power play.
Yeah.
I'm never concerned about Binghamton going in the box or being, on a penalty kill or, a power play. That is none of my concern of it happening during the game, because of how well they perform on those special teams.
Yeah.
It's really the 5-on-5s that you have to watch. And that's where if you have to watch the team, then that's when are they in it to, get this win? Are they slacking in a certain area?
Sure.
Are they, exceeding in a certain area? That's the part you have to pay attention to.
Yeah. And 5-on-5, we're still one of the best teams in the league. When you take away all of our power play goals and you take away the shorthanded goals, we have a lot of even strength goals. And that's something that I think is pretty impressive for the Black Bears. I want to say, listen, I got a little angry there and I get a little wound up and I had to release some of that energy. I want to make it perfectly known. The Black Bears were down in both of those games by 2 goals and they came back and they won both of those games. And when you have, sometimes you're playing against the team and then you're playing against the referees, because they were definitely playing against the referees on Saturday night for sure. The penalties on Friday night, a little bit more even, but on Saturday, it was a little bit more lopsided. And I think when Ben Brockway punches Mac Jansen and then CJ Stubbs gets involved and there's no penalty, and you go back and you watch that video, it's a sucker punch. It's a sucker punch to Mac Jansen. And I just don't understand how there's not a penalty called there. He's staring right at it. CJ Stubbs goes and grabs Brockway and then just grabs a hold of the jersey and does kind of like that little, jab type of thing. Hits him a couple times. He gets the penalty, and then he's trying to figure out why Brockway's not following him to the penalty box. Absolutely asinine. And these were the kind of calls that were kind of missed on both sides. And when I wrote about it, I wanted people to understand that I'm not against the referees because the Black Bears lost or that the Black Bears had issue with the referees. I saw just some terrible officiating. Like this was the worst officiated game I saw all year. And I listen, I know what's been said about Steve Gowdy. I don't think he should ever ref a game in this league again. I'm sorry. His incompetence, number one. Number two, even the sniff of foul play is just not good because you know who it hurts the most? It doesn't hurt the Black Bears. It hurts the Prowlers the most, right? It makes their reputation. Listen, I pick on the way they play all the time. I love Matt Graham. I love Chris Paulin. I love hearing those guys talk. I do like the effort that they put into their games. I may not like the style of play, Taylor, right? I made that perfectly clear, right? I don't like their style of play, but I respect them. This hurts Port Huron more than it does Binghamton. Binghamton's moved on. They're going to go and play. They're going to go play Watertown. But if there's even a sniff that there's a referee that's a fan of the Prowlers and maybe assisted and made that game. And listen, for all the fans out there, if you're an old AHL fan, Harry Dumas is a guy that you'll remember. Binghamton versus the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. This guy got fired at the end of a playoff game because he was so horrible in a game reffing between Binghamton and Wilkes-Barre. There were over 230 penalty minutes in a game that he reffed, that he just lost complete, utter control, and he was fired. By the summertime, he was gone out of the league, wasn't reffing pro anymore. And if you're reffing the AHL, you're working for the AHL and the NHL's referees association. And this guy was gone because of this, because of how terrible he was. Steve Gowdy, I'm talking right to you right now. If you even hear this, if a Port Huron fan hears this and can send you this audio, you shouldn't be reffing because of how you present yourself to the public. I don't care about your charitable contributions. That's great. Good for breast cancer. Perfect. But you're a referee. You're supposed to be above a lot of stuff. And you clearly weren't in that game, and it shows, number one. I'll call you out on a ton of calls that you missed. And also the simple fact you don't go onto Facebook and pretend that you're a Prowlers fan and then go ref a game. That doesn't make it makes absolutely zero sense to me at all. All right, we need to move on from this because I don't need to have a heart attack.
Well, I was just going to kind of add to that and say, know, out of the last several years where we've watched Brant Sherwood get kicked out of arenas or get kicked out of games for various reasons.
This is the best one.
He has yet to do that this season. And whether it's because he's more disciplined, because, the Black Bears overall have been more disciplined, even now, they're still the second lowest penalty. And, I don't think anybody can be lower than Carolina. They seem to always be on the low end of penalties, but we're still just above them compared to everybody else in the league, which I still think says a lot, especially over these last two games. But, Brant Sherwood has gone this entire season without having any issues whatsoever. And because of what happened in Saturday's game, and he literally was waving a white flag and he gets kicked out of the game, which leads us to our next point where he gets fined an undisclosed amount of cash because he had a bench minor for throwing objects onto the ice, which was a 2-minute minor. That was served by Nick Swain at 17:50 during the second period. And then he had an abuse of officials, a 10-minute game misconduct. That's also at the 17:50 mark of the second period.
Now you saw the video, right? You saw the video of him waving the flag. I
did. I was so confused when I heard everybody talking about it and I saw all the posts and all the comments about it.
It's hilarious.
What I thought happened was that he was so frustrated that he actually threw something on the ice. To get like a stoppage in play or something, like something that bad was happening. And then as I'm watching the game, it finally came up to that part and I see him and he's waving the flag and then the ref kicks him out and then he just tosses the flag up. He didn't toss it onto the ice. He throws it straight up and it happens to go out on the ice.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my Lord, like that. You really could make this could be a movie. Like Saturday's game would have been a perfect movie, like a Slapshot movie.
Yeah.
It would have gone beautifully in the Slapshot series, and which is funny because Jeremy was just watching those earlier today.
Oh, that's awesome! You know what? I was thinking about watching Miracle on Ice actually because someone mentioned Herb Brooks, and I just want to go back now and watch that. So I might actually do that this weekend, and then maybe I'll just watch the Slapshot movie because it's hilarious. But you're right. He's been good so much this year, and listen. I want everyone to understand. Nobody is voiced my concern of Brant Sherwood's actions more on this show or to Brant Sherwood in person. And he knows. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't already know. I've already said, listen, you want to move up in the world, you want to go to the next level, you need to start controlling yourself a little bit more. And he said tonight, actually, on the Tully's Good Time show, he's not sure if it's because of Coach Q or what, but we've been more disciplined and I've been more disciplined. And I'm telling you right now, he's heard it from me, myself. I've said, listen, dude, you need to cool your jets a little bit. You need to cool your team. But again, what he did there was hilarious. He picked up the stick, put the towel on it. He's waving it around, and eventually it goes up in the air, and then boom, slides on there. And they were just looking for a reason to get rid of him. And yet the team still won. The team still won.
The best part about all of that was the start the bus chants.
And then
you do not do that when your team is only up one goal.
I mean, how stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? Literally, you guys are a smarter fan base there in Port Huron. You've had hockey for a long time. You don't do that. And then you let the guy who everybody thought was going to either beat the living shit out of everyone every other game, which he hasn't, or be a huge goal scorer, which he hasn't. He scores the freaking game-tying goal to get the Black Bears with 12 seconds left while you're chanting the chant.
You seriously, a perfect movie. You could not come up with a better storyline than what happened on Saturday.
I think you know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have ChatGPT listen to this whole podcast. Going to feed it every single bit of that and then have it write up a whole story about like a slapshot type of movie around one game between the Port Huron Prowlers and the Black Bears. Feed it all the relevant information and see if it can come up with something great. Because I bet you it could.
Oh, I'm sure it could.
All right, let's move on.
It's your part now.
Oh, yeah. So one of the reasons why Brant Sherwood was so pissed off in that game was players were injured during Saturday's game. So there were things that happened. I'm not going to mention players, but there was. A big part of the frustration of Brant Sherwood was his players being injured and no calls being made. And again, this has really only happened against Port Huron. D-Raz was taken down during a scrum in an unprofessional manner by a linesman. Basically, he was slew-footed by a linesman. Nothing's going to be done about that, okay? Which was kind of ridiculous. I saw one of our players opening up the door, closing the door, open up the door, closing the door. Boom, CJ Stubbs gets kicked out of the game. That player has to come back on the ice. Well, that player probably was not feeling all the greatest, but had to go back out there and play because of that. Now, I again, that's the frustration that probably Sherwood was under. Now, then it comes to Binghamton Black Bears' favorite Port Huron Prowler of them all, right? Reggie Millette. And Reggie Millette called the Black Bears soft. Let's give you the full audio so you can hear. After the game, he was chosen to be the player of the game for the Port Huron Prowlers. Here's the question, and here's part of his response.
Here with our Gunther Graphics player of the game, Reggie Millette. Reggie, I mean, that's about as emotional as a regular season game as you can get. You guys fought back and forth. Let's talk about the positives first. Get out to a quick lead. What were you guys doing right when you were seemingly frustrating Binghamton for large portions of that game?
Now, we're going to stop there for a second. Great question, right, Taylor? Great.
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
I mean, you just lose in the shootout, 6-5. You know, you got to talk about the positives. It's a great question from the gentleman who's asking the question to Reggie. Now, let's hear Reggie's answer to that question.
The things we did right, number one, we were finishing our hits. I think that's what frustrates them. They're a pretty soft team. Like, they don't want to be pushed around.
Are you kidding me? Is this guy this stupid, Taylor, to literally give the Black Bears? Now, if any of the players are listening to this segment, some of the players listen to the interviews, some of the players listen to us, which is absolutely fine. Are you kidding me? He's really that dumb to call the Black Bears soft when D'Orazio's out there hitting people. Jacob Shankar hit like Reggie Millette like 3 times in one game. I think almost in one period too. But either way, just kept hitting him, right? And then you had Tyson was out there laying hits, and are you? The guy's already getting booed in Binghamton, which is a controversy in its own. And now he just gave people even more ammunition against him. I don't know. Do you think maybe he just doesn't like understand?
Well, I'm going to put it that he got his head knocked in a little bit too much, and he maybe just kind of forgot, because I'm pretty sure because I had some conversations with some of the fans who were at the game this weekend.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to hear some insights and kind of get some more ideas on like what happened and stuff. And they actually sent me the video of D-Raz fighting, because it's not on the YouTube chat, because the camera doesn't ever pan that way, unfortunately.
Right.
So I did get to see that. So the only conclusion that I can come up with that makes any kind of sense whatsoever on why he thinks Binghamton is soft is that D-Raz knocked him in his head, got hit a little bit too hard, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he rattled his brain a little bit too much, and he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
So I have to ask you. I mean, let's answer that question. Are the Black Bears soft, and did they go into Port Huron playing a game differently than they normally play?
I don't think it's a very straightforward answer. And the reason that I'm saying that is the only reason that I can think that he thinks Binghamton is soft is because compared to everybody else that Port Huron faces, they always have like 18 fights that break out. And I just don't think Binghamton gave him that ammunition. I think that, they did come in way more physical than they have against Port Huron in any part of the season so far. And I think they were laying hits, they were completing hits, and they were making moves out there that I don't think Port Huron has seen from Binghamton. But I think maybe they just wanted more of the fighting. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
To say they're soft, I don't think so. I just don't think they gave Port Huron what they really wanted, and I don't really know what else they could have wanted. I mean, they went in there and they thought they were up, and Binghamton was like, yeah, no, we're taking away the points. Like, we're going to come home with the wins.
What cracked me up about the whole situation was like, you can call Binghamton soft, but they just beat your ass. You were up by 2 goals. You don't let the Black Bears come back when you're up by 2 goals. And they did that twice this weekend. So in other words, you get 1 point, we get 5 points on the weekend. The Black Bears are soft, yet they have like a 35-point lead on you in the standings. They have won 2 championships, but they're soft. Okay. All right. You know what? I will give you this. Reggie, fine. We're soft. We'll take the 2 championships. We'll take all the records. We'll take all of that. We're fine. We're good. I'm happy being soft. You know what I mean? Oh, wait. We're fat and happy. That's what it is. And when you're fat and happy, right?
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
And soft, right? Because when you're fat, there's a little soft cushion there, right? Okay.
What I think we need to do now?
What's that?
The next time we see Port Huron in Binghamton, whether it's from the playoffs, next season, whatever the case is.
Well, they're going to be here in March.
We need to buy them little stuffed Black Bears and put our jerseys on them so they can take the soft Black Bears home with them.
Oh, that would be sweet. And we got to fatten up those bears too.
Yeah. Well, we'll put some extra stuffing in there so they're nice, fat, and happy. We'll even give them some Burger King coupons because we know we got plenty of those to go around.
They could stop on the way out of town with their loss and a Burger King burger.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just
like that.
I just think it's funny. Like Paulin thinks they're fat and happy. He thinks they're soft. Dan Stone is on his way to the SBHL's Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs to help out the dogs and get his P1 visa renewed. So basically going into this weekend, no Dan Stone, CJ Stubbs, no Gavin Yates. However, now here's the bright side to this. The Brant Sherwood did say on the Tully Show he believes he's going to have 1 college kid come in this weekend. So there might be a new college kid coming in. All the other D3 schools are playing in the playoffs this weekend. However, he's got 1 college kid, I believe, that he's coming in. He did mention that on the Tully Show, which was good. I will say, when I talked to Nick Swain in the interview, he said that after the game, the coaches were so happy with this team. They were really happy with the resiliency, the adversity that they went through, and they still came through and got the wins. Mac Jansen got the shootout game-winning goal. He got the 2 goals in Friday night's game, so he got 2 game winners this weekend. Garrett Sargis gets that unbelievable 12-second left goal to tie the game. Tyson Kirkby had 2 goals that were huge this weekend. Jacob Shankar scored in both games, Taylor. So he had a goal in each game. Plus, he was hitting people. D'Orazio had a goal in the game. He got in a fight. I thought defensively, some of our players were just outstanding. Dan Stone and Dan Weber had great moments in both games. Regardless of all the garbage that happened, getting into their shit, I thought this was a good weekend still for the Black Bears, because you have to win sometimes the dirty games, right? The garbage games. And they won both of those this weekend.
Yeah, I honestly, I kind of wish that we were actually at the games, because, these were really exciting games. There was no scoring in the first periods for either game. So that was, something, it was something to keep you on the edge of your seat. Like, there was so much back and forth. The goaltending matchup was great. It was so phenomenal to kind of see each team, out there pretty much giving it their all. I mean, you had players blocking shots on either side. You had guys, Port Huron was desperately, this is where that Port Huron got desperate. They were trying to get in Dominic's face. Yeah. They, the whistle would blow and they would get in there and try to box him out, which is where towards the end of the game, you saw the Black Bears get in there to make sure that the Prowlers couldn't get close to him, which I thought was great. And I really liked how they, absolutely boxed him out so they could not get close to him. Mm-hmm. And, that's when you saw that Port Huron was getting desperate. And that's when I was like, these guys are afraid they're going to lose this game. And that's what happened. They got desperate. They were trying to pull off some dumb stuff like that. One guy got sent to the box for doing it. Yeah. And, I think it worked out for the Black Bears in the end because of that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's a time and place to getting into a goalie's face, and Tyson Kirkby is probably the king of doing that.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's true. And he was training Zach Sirota how to be the next one to do that. But yeah, no, without a doubt, Tyson Kirkby is definitely the king of that. Good weekend. All right, let's move on. So coming up next year on the Power Play Post Show is our interview with Nick Swain. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on the show. Last year we had him on, but it was at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena up in the press box. And today we're going to kind of do one of our regular interviews with him. He comes to us from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is forward Nick Swain. Nick, welcome back to the show. It's great to talk to you.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to, talk and chat.
The team is on a very good run. Let's be perfectly honest. They still have the possibility of beating last year's record, if people can believe that. It's a crazy number to potentially hit 50 wins. But talk to us a little bit about so far these first, 30, 40, or these first 40 games, as the Black Bears are number one in the whole league. They had a 15-game winning streak at one point. It's just been a really good start to the season for the Black Bears.
Yeah, I think obviously last year the guys did a great job, and I came in later on and then played in playoffs and then won. And then this year, I think, just the recruiting and the addition that Sherwood and Coach Quenville did together, with adding, all these powerhouse forwards and adding depth to the team, I think really helped the overall start. I think that was the biggest thing, like going in, just knowing you have three solid lines. You could play anyone in any position in any role, and just, not really having to worry about like, oh, is there going to be any like drop from the year before, especially with a lot of returners as well. And, guys just stepping it up, not really, I would say relaxing is a term that you could do if you have one good year and then have, the next year you relax a little bit. But I think everyone just wants the same thing as well, is to get a three-peat. So nobody's relaxing. Everyone's, on their horse. And I think that also being driven into us is another reason why we've done so well, and especially at the start, because I know, having home ice for playoffs is also a huge thing that we look forward to.
No, without a doubt. You mentioned the three lines, and the way Coach Sherwood has always explained it to me, he goes, I have 3 first lines, and that was his goal this year, was to be able to say that he could roll out there with 3 first lines and then have a 10 forward if need be, or maybe slot an extra defenseman in there. So talk a little bit about that, because you have been skating recently with Gavin Yates and Kyle Stephan. If I look at that line versus, say, Mac Jansen, CJ Stubbs, and Ivan Bondarenko, it's different. Interchangeable, yes. You could go up there and and play on a line with CJ Stubbs and Ivan or Mac Jansen and be able to fit in nicely. But the 3 of them play differently than the 3 of you guys. And then, of course, if you take Tyson Kirkby and you throw him in there with Garrett Sargis and Jacob Shankar, that's a completely different line. Yeah, I think that you could fit into that line as well. How important is it that there's so much diversity and yet very interchangeable with the parts?
Yeah, I think, as a team's perspective, you can't ask for anything more. Like if you could just take anybody from any line and put them on any line and still feel confident, as a coach, you're doing something right. I think, having those guys, you have those, you name CJ Stubbs, Mac Jansen, and Ivan, all played in the SP. I think they've played together too at some point before in the year, so they have chemistry. Like, a lot of it is just, you have the players now just trying to find who matches well with who. And I think, Sherwood has done a great job with that. And, like you said, Gavin Yates on the 3rd line, Kyle Stephan, like Yates was I believe, 2-time federal or FPHL MVP on a 3rd line.
Yeah.
Like that's insanity. You know what I mean? So, but being able to play with him and Steph has been unreal. Like they just, obviously great hockey players, but I think we just connect well and see each other and, think the same game. So, overall it's been working out great. Obviously the record and the team shows it. So, I'm just looking forward to being able to do even more in playoffs with everyone.
Yeah. Break down that line for me for just a little bit. Gavin's such a great skater. Kyle has such an intensity about him when he gets on the ice, and he just wants to, get in there and bang bodies with somebody and sometimes even play in front of that net. And then you have this skating ability and the speed, and when you're hot with your shot, you're hot with your shot, right? So talk a little bit about the 3 of you guys together and what you guys kind of bring to the team.
Yeah, so I think, obviously I'll start with Gavin. He's, probably one of, if not the best skaters in the league. Maybe if you want to say straight up speed, maybe not, but the way he handles the puck, skating with the puck, definitely it. His vision, the way he can control the ice, control the play style of the game, slow or speed up the game however he wants, is really important. And zone entries, he's almost an automatic zone entry anytime you give him the puck, which is really important because, you'd rather play in the offensive zone than the defensive zone. And a lot of times if you're playing in the D zone, it's because you're turning it over on those blue lines. So he brings tremendous value there and just controlling the play. And then Steph is just like an overall great player. He's great on face-offs. He makes plays. Like you said, he goes hard to the net, works down low, uses his body. He's a 200-foot player. So, if we need to get pucks out, sometimes he'll take control of that, in the D zone and then find one of us on the wall. And then just he could do it all as well, like work low, score when we need to. He's got a good shot. But, I think and then me included, I think we work kind of off of what Yater does.
Gotcha.
As like I said, he controls the pace of the game, the style of the play. If you want things sped up, if you want it to slow down, and I think where I come along is, kind of same thing. I could be fast up on the rush with Yates if I need to be, or slow it down, or, more defensively if we need to. And like you said, I think I have a good scoring ability.
Yeah.
When it's on, it's on. So I like to try and find spots and, like honey holes, depending on where those two are. And, I think we've just been working really well together. And, especially when we're all clicking and all like on, I don't think there's a line that could stop us.
Well, especially, if you guys are considered the third line, and, we'll go with what Jersey says, I have 3 first lines. I don't think there's a team in this league, including Monroe and Athens, which I know we only saw Athens for a couple games, and Monroe we don't get to see, but they're obviously playing well down there. They're also playing, some bottom feeder teams. Binghamton is too, with Watertown and Indiana, and of course with Danbury. But still, you got to win those games, right? You got to score the goals, all that. You got to play the game on the ice. But I can't imagine there's another team in this league that their third line has 41 goals between the 3 guys that you would slot in on their third line. When I say that, did you realize that you guys had 41 goals between the 3 of you?
No, I did not. But when you say that, it just makes it sounds insane. Like how is that even possible? It's like I said, we're just such a good third line that, I'd put us up against any other third line, even first line in the league. So
no, without a doubt. Was it an easy decision for you to come back this year? Was this something that you were like, yes, I want to be back?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the hardest decision was whether I was, gonna be working or playing. And, luckily I was able to do both and, work out to be able to do both. But yeah, there is no other team that I played for other than Binghamton. Just how professional, the setup, how you get treated, like the fan base, everything about here is like, there was no question or second doubt in my mind where I was going.
The team this year, obviously on such a great run. Let's talk a little bit about the 2 Port Huron games, because obviously, the fans are going to want to hear thoughts from one of the players. Obviously, whenever you guys play Port Huron, it's always physical. It's always feisty. They're always trying to get you guys to come down to their level, so to speak. And sometimes it's hard not to, because you got to stick up for yourselves, and you can't always play your game of hockey against Port Huron, because they're very good at antagonizing. And it's not just 1 or 2 players on that team. It's multiple players, even from Matt Graham down. They like to antagonize a team. How difficult were these 2 games? Because I got to imagine that there's levels of difficulties, and there's different types of difficulties when it comes to playing certain teams, like playing against Athens or Twin City, or like I said, with Port Huron, with how physical they want to be and to drag you into that. Talk a little bit about these past 2 games.
Yeah, so I think with Port Huron, obviously, before even going into the weekend, everyone knows what's going to happen. Like you said, that's their game. That's, how they think they could beat us. That's their style of hockey is, hey, let's bring them into the shit, try and punch them in the face, try and get them, because we know that they're probably going to go in the box. For some reason, every time we go there, the penalties are lopsided.
Yeah.
There's never I don't even know what the exact statistical data was this weekend, but I could tell you it definitely was not in our favor. I think the biggest thing, like you said, is protecting yourself. Like, there'll be scrums in front of the net where we'll eat some shots and then, take some shots in the face. But then as a ref, if you're going to let that go, then we're going to do the same thing. So we kind of change our style. But there's sometimes, or at least this past weekend, there was a little confusion, I think, on the ref side, where we would do something that they would do something we would do, and we seemed like both times we were getting penalized, which didn't seem right. I think anytime they come to our rink, it shows that we're just the better team. Mm-hmm. when we're out of the shit and playing 5-on-5 hockey, they just can't keep up with us for 3 whole periods. And then, it's nice to see, like, obviously you don't want your coach to get thrown out or taking penalties, but it's nice to see Sherwood and Q, sticking up for the players as well, giving the refs an earful when needed. But other than that, those weekends are just, you can call it playoff hockey, I guess is a good way to describe it.
Nick, I want to, on a lighter note, you brought up Brant Sherwood and the penalty, the game misconduct. I didn't notice it during the live game. I had to go back and rewatch it, but you could actually see it on the video. He grabs a stick, he puts a towel on there, and he's like waving the white flag, like, and it's kind of comical, but Brant's not doing it to be funny. Brant's doing it because he's trying to stick up for his team and say, listen, what do we got to do here for this to change a little bit? Do you guys on the bench see that sometimes? I know you guys hear him. I mean, when Brant wants to yell, he's loud. So I totally get you guys probably hear. But do you guys see some of that stuff when he does that? Because again, I don't think he's trying to disrespect the referees. He's trying to get their attention. He's trying to make a point. And I think players probably love that. I know that when I was a kid, if a coach did something like that, I was like, hey, listen, he's here for me. He's here doing that for me. It's not because he wants to put on a show. But when you're on the bench and you see something like that, when I saw it afterwards and I went back and I rewatched it and I wanted to see what coach did to get the game misconduct, and I kind of chuckled. I couldn't help it. It was like, it was kind of humorous.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely funny in the way of the actions, but like you said, Coach Shirt, he's not doing that for jokes. He's doing that for safety for the players and just concern of like what's going on. If this was a common theme of a coach doing this, maybe it's a different story, but it's rare. It's not like he's doing this all the time.
No, he's
trying to be like, when we're on the bench, he's trying to be the voice of reason usually. So, when we see that, he's, I guess, freaking out in terms of what's going on, then yeah, like we're very supportive and thankful that we have a coach that has our back like that, because obviously if you have 20 players screaming at the ref, that's not really our job to do that. Obviously we have but it gets to a point where somebody has to step in and say something. So as a player, yeah, I thought it was great and awesome. And, I'm glad to see that he has our back and, we'll kill the penalties for those guys. Even Coach Q, same thing as well. I think he got a bench minor or something like that. But again, it's just sticking up for us in terms of what's right and what's going on and trying to be a voice of reason. But sometimes if the same thing happens over and over and over and there's no change, then you have to be the one to change.
No, without a doubt. I totally agree with you. What was the message from Coach Q and Brant afterwards? Because if you think about it, you guys were down 2-0 in the first game, came back. You guys were down in the second game on Saturday night. All the craziness happens. You guys come back and you win in the shootout. Oh, by the way, you had the first shootout goal, in that game as well. What was the message from the coaches to you guys afterwards? Because I got to imagine it's almost like going to war, going to battle, getting your ass kicked, and then coming out victorious. And I got to imagine they were very happy.
Yeah, they were ecstatic. We were ecstatic. I think just showed how resilient the team is. And, it would have been pretty easy to say, hey, the refs are screwing us right now. Like, whatever, let's pack our gear. Like, we're down, let's just play their game, give them cheap shots. But no, like, our coaches come in, they say the right things to us. They give us the right mentality. They understand. They were both players. They understand a mentality, what happens, how this is. But, it showed this weekend, everyone was very proud. We were very resilient, went through a lot of adversity, but it's going to happen some games. It's hockey. It's, especially during playoffs, it's good to know that we could go through something like that and stay focused on trying to win.
100%. And, realistically, you guys come out of there, you're 5-1 against them. You still have 2 more games against Port Huron. They're both in Binghamton. They're separated, which I wish more games were kind of separated so you weren't playing the same team night after night. But that's how it is with Port Huron. The next 2 games, they're at different times. Now, I know the answer to this, but I got to ask this anyways. When you guys see Port Huron again, is it, all right, we're in our barn, we're going to play our style of game, we're going to play our hockey, and we're not going to worry about what you guys do? Or do you guys kind of still remember going into those games?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
We remember what happened, so welcome to our barn now. So we're going to show them, how to play our game, how to play the real game of hockey, and then, send them packing back on their bus. And, hopefully we have the same result, but, with 6-10 goal difference,
Well, that would mean that you would probably have to score 4 again, right, in one game. Let's talk about that. It's Teddy Bear Toss night. We know what Cam Clark did last year in the Teddy Bear Toss game. He had a hat trick, scored the first goal that got the Teddy Bears to be thrown. I'll be honest with you, Nick. I've never seen you smile bigger than when you scored that Teddy Bear Toss goal. Why were you smiling so much? Was it really? I mean, there could be a couple different things there, right? I mean, you're playing on the third line, if we're going to call it that. You're really not getting maybe the same amount of ice time as if you were on the first line. You haven't been scoring much. You get that first goal in the game. The Teddy Bears start getting thrown. Big smile on your face. Was there a lot of stuff going on in your head at the time when you scored that goal?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of variables going on, but when I scored, it was just nothing but joy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. I've never been part of a Teddy Bear Toss game, let alone played in one. So it was surreal to, score a goal and then see the thousands of teddy bears get tossed in front over your head. So yeah, I couldn't stop smiling. I mean, it was just an awesome moment. I was happy to be able to be the one. I think a couple of the veterans weren't so happy, but giving me crap, just as a joke, all fun and games.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was unreal. I don't think I'll probably remember that goal for the rest of my life. I think that I haven't had any goals yet that have topped it. So,
well, you had, obviously 4 goals in that game. What was going on with your stick? Did you retire that particular stick? Did you hang it up did you send it to the Hall of Fame? How did you get through that game without going, this stick is so freaking awesome, right? Like, I got to imagine that you were probably at the end of the game, you get 4 goals in the game. That had to be something that you never imagined you would do.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even, it's funny when you don't really think about scoring, that's usually when it happens. And when
Sure.
you're focused on scoring, it's usually the opposite. But yeah, I mean, the stick in general, shout out to Bowers. Got some Bowers. Love that line of stick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, unfortunately it broke recently. So been out of commission for a while, unfortunately. Yeah.
Do you still have the broken stick?
No, I think,
did you give it away to a fan?
Yeah, I think it went away to a fan, actually. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, they should get that stick framed and hung up somewhere because that was a pretty cool night for you. You also had a goal this year where you double deked. You deked a defenseman and you deked the goaltender. It is an ESPN highlight type of goal. And I know there was a lot of talk around that goal. going, that's the true skill of Nick Swain. That's what you can do. You remember the goal, right?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely remember that one.
Talk about that goal a little bit, because, I mean, that was pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think in terms of skill wise, I have a lot of skill. I just, sometimes you don't really need to show it in games unless you're in certain circumstances. So, I mean, timing wise, it was, they say when you're on a one-on-one, got to get creative or make your move. That's your time. So I kind of just, right place, right time, right moment, and beat the guy. He fell down the ice, and then one-on-one with the goalie, I feel pretty confident, when I'm going. So also made a nice move on him, and then, just put it in the back of the net, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, I think in terms of skill wise, I have a lot in the bag. It's just more of timing. Like when do you need to use it? When should it come out? And stay away from the blue lines with the toe drags is a big one. So
Fair enough. Nick, before I let you go, I ask every single person this question at the end of the interview, especially after January 1st. What is the goal for this team?
I mean, the goal is to three-peat. I think if you're looking for a closer goal, it's to win I believe it's called the President's Cup. So it's to have the best regular season record for this year as well. So, get the home ice and then, three-peat. I think everyone has their eyes on that, though.
No, that's awesome. Alrighty, he is Nick Swain. And Nick, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It was good to kind of just talk hockey with you instead of like talking about your family and the history. Not that your family's not bad. That's good stuff and everything. But it was nice to just kind of talk hockey, talk the season. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me, Bob. It was awesome. Happy to do it.
Awesome. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Nick Swain, and very excited that you guys got to hear him. We'll also get 6 more questions with Nick Swain coming up on the Power Play Post Show. Okay. When you subscribe and like episodes, it signals to YouTube that hockey fans are engaging, which helps recommend the show to more viewers. As our community grows, we're able to deliver more interviews, insights, and hockey discussions. Subscribing and liking is the most effective and completely free way to support the show. Join fellow hockey fans and subscribe on YouTube today. Okay, Taylor, it is time for the 11x14 player poster giveaway. So fans, pay attention. Please tell the fans this week's special code phrase.
The code phrase for this week is super fitting. It is clinched.
That's right. Friday night, when the Black Bears won, they clinched a spot in the playoffs for the 5th straight season. So they are going to be defending their 2-time championship. They've been like the champion for like 700 days, which is pretty cool. Okay, fans, if you are the 3rd person and the 17th person, right? So 3rd, there's a reason why the 3rd, right? Because we're going for a 3-peat, right? And the 17th person, Tyson Kirkby wears 17, so why not? He's our captain. Person to message Taylor with the special code phrase clinched, you will win an 11x14 poster of your choice. 2 winners. Winners get to choose from any current Black Bears player, and we'll deliver the poster at an upcoming home game. Send in the special code phrase, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show. And now let's get to our preview for this upcoming weekend's games against the Watertown Wolves.
So, previewing our upcoming games against the Watertown Wolves on the road in Watertown, our favorite place to be because we've been there so much this season.
It's like our second home up there, right?
It might as well be. They might as well just, have a house built up there for the guys to just sleep in for the time being because, they're just up there so many times.
I think there's 5 more games. So there's these 2 games and then there's 3 games after this still up there.
That's crazy. So speaking of the amount of times that we've been up there, this will be the 13th and 14th games of the season versus the Wolves. Woo! To this point, the Bears are 11-1-0 against the Wolves this season. The Black Bears have only lost to the Wolves on January 2nd, a 4-3 loss in Watertown.
Boo.
The Black Bears have outscored the Wolves this season through the first 12 games, 67 goals to the Wolves, 27 goals.
Is that a lot?
It's a little bit.
I don't know
the
hockey
numbers
that well.
that we talk about at the end of this, I think, are more important, just a little bit better.
Okay.
Last weekend, the Wolves were on the road to Whitfield to play Blue Ridge Bobcats, where they did not fare very well.
No.
And this is a game that Jeremy kept telling me the score about because he couldn't believe it either. On Friday, the Bobcats dominated the Wolves in a 12-4 win. And then on Saturday, the Bobcats scored another 7 goals in a 9-3 win over the Wolves. Last weekend, the Black Bears went on the road and defeated the Prowlers in both games, but not without a lot of drama, and a lot of it. On Friday night, the Black Bears came from behind and defeated the Prowlers 5-3. The Black Bears saw 2 goals from Mac Jansen in the third period, saw 3 goals in 58 seconds from Ivan Bondarenko, Gavin Yates, and Jacob Shankar, all in the second period.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. What an amazing little run that they had there in the third period that saw those 3 goals. It was actually when the second goal was Mac Jansen scored in the third period, but the other 3 guys scored in the second period. 58 seconds. It was just crazy how on fire. And by the way, it was all 3 lines scored a goal, and it was one shift after the other. Like, how often does that happen? It doesn't. It's crazy.
Crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Now, honestly, think about it. What other team anywhere would not have pulled their goalie for that? like seriously.
Yeah, but it's Reed Cooper. I mean,
yeah, I get it, but like any other goalie, if you had any other goalie, 3 goals, 3 different lines, 3 different people in 58 seconds,
yeah,
that is insane.
But Reed Cooper can beat every other team in this league except for the Black Bears. Sorry, it's true.
Well, speaking of him, that was my my one go-to because there was a lot of Prowlers, making comments about how we don't have any players that can go up and play in higher leagues. And I was like, that you guys just got Cooper back, right?
And by the way, CMAC folks, for the Prowlers fans that don't think that people are going to go up, I mean, okay, Dan Stone's up there. Cade Henry is now playing in the SPHL at a high level with Peoria. Let's see here. Zach Sirota.
Tim Kim's overseas.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting something in my ear. Oh, wait, CMAC is going to the ECHL, folks. So, blow it out your blowhorn. Jesus Christ. It's like, come on. I love it when people just like, oh, he's only playing with the Black Bears because he's making a lot of money. Oh, wait, the 2 fat freaking rings on his finger. That doesn't mean jack, right? I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, that was my one go-to about like the comments that I was seeing was I was just anything that they can pick on the Black Bears about, and I just I look at them and I'm like, did you really just say that? Like, did that really come out of your mouth?
By the way, guys, I want people to hear this. Jesse Anderson works full time. Austin Thompson, when he was here, works full time. Nick Swain works full time. These guys do practice every single day that they're told to do practice, and then they go and they work full-time jobs. There are other guys also working full-time remote jobs. Scott Romakers is, and he's an unsung hero on this team. We don't talk enough about Scott Romakers and what he does on this team as well, playing defense, playing offense, having 4 points in one night, and then it's just crazy stuff. But oh yeah. They're here because of the money. No, you're a bunch of morons. They're here because they're getting rings on their fingers, okay?
And on that note, we can move on to Saturday night. So Saturday night in Port Huron, it took until the shootout to decide a winner, which, I didn't think it should have, because I think Sargis should have had 2 scores thanks to, good old Reggie Millette, who scored on himself, but they took that goal away.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
But anyways, it didn't matter because, the start the bus chant happened and Binghamton came out victorious with a 6-5 win. So either way, we came home with both W's. In my eyes, it didn't matter after that.
Yep.
In that game, the Black Bears saw goals from Tyson Kirkby, who scored 2 in the third period. Austin Durazio and Jacob Shankar both scored in the second period. And Garrett Sargis scored the game-tying goal with 13 seconds left to go in the period, which we've talked about a couple times.
Yep.
And then it was Nick Swain and Matt Jansen who both scored in the shootout and secured the victory for the Black Bears. And as Brooks had mentioned in the Tiller's Good Time show, Jansen was a little bit gassed in that game. He played 30 minutes. And then Q asked him when he wanted to go for the shootout, and he said whenever, and he was the second person to go.
Well, I think the best part about that was Brooks kind of, picking on Mac Jansen a little bit, because when Sargis scored the goal, he didn't even skate towards the celebration. He just put his hands up in the air, and he's just like, it's just like, yep, he's definitely gassed if he's not skating over for that. That was pretty hilarious.
That was probably my favorite comment from the whole thing about him not having enough energy in the tank to get to the players. That's pretty funny. But the celebrations, after the goals were pretty solid too. I don't know what Shankar did to ruffle some feathers to get a penalty after his celebration, but whatever.
Oh, I think he did a taunt. He actually I cupped his ear as he went past the Port Huron Prowlers bench.
And that's a penalty, apparently.
I guess so. Hey, it's unsportsmanlike.
How many times have we seen that in Binghamton when opposing teams score?
Consider the situation with the referee.
Oh no, I get it, but I'm just like, I don't know why you consider that a taunt. We've seen that countless times in Binghamton from opposing teams,
and they don't get.
Which I think that's why I was so confused by it. Because I'm like, he didn't do anything. Horrible in my eyes.
Cupped his ear, said, "Hey, I'm listening. Come on."
Oh, well, I guess now we can't, we're too soft in Port Huron that we can't even cup our ears, apparently.
Yeah, well, maybe.
The Wolves are in 6th place in the Empire Division with a 9-23-4 record. They have 29 points, scoring 96 goals and allowing 163 goals.
Ouch.
The Black Bears are in 1st place in the Empire Division with a 34-5-1 record, 100 points, the first team to do so, scoring 206 goals and only allowing 97. And as you put a nice note in here, we are the only team with under 100 goals allowed.
Yeah. Isn't that a crazy number?
And there's only 3 teams that have played 40 games, and we're one of them.
Yeah. That's
Danbury and Columbus have played 40 games.
40 games as well. It's just, it's insane. I think the Black Bears, other than the game in Port Huron here, most disciplined team on the ice. They know what they need to do. They go and they do it. They got the best defense. They got the best offense, the best power play, best penalty kill. I mean, Monroe's penalty kill is starting to catch up to the Black Bears because they're not giving up many power play goals themselves. But, I mean, across the board, they're just the best right now on the ice. But they're soft. So
yeah, too soft, apparently. Just big old cuddly teddy bears over here. That's gonna be my next poster. I'm gonna make a teddy bear poster just for Reggie.
Yeah, you should say, "Hi, Reggie, I made this for you." And just
good old soft teddy bears over here.
And then to say, can you also give it to Chris Pollan so he can see a fat and happy bear?
I'm gonna put 2 ring pops on all the stuffed bears too, just so they can really know what it feels like to be over here and fat and happy and championships and all that.
Yep. All right. The Wolves are led by, and we're not sure if this is still a thing, right? Because he might be gone. But boy, you know what? I had changed the Brendan Colgan to Matt Lenz, and apparently I did not save that. But either way, Stephen Klink has 33 games played. currently at the moment, he's still with the team. Don't know if it's going to be accurate by Friday, but he's still with the team. 26 goals, 27 assists for 53 points, 5 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 4 game-winning goals. Igor Filipov, who will more than likely be the guy who will be leading the team with 36 games played. He's got 20 goals, 28 assists for 48 points, 7 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. Yefim Mishkin, who seems to score against the Black Bears. He's got 34 games played, 18 goals, 19 assists for 37 points, 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 4 game-winning goals. Darian Benchik, I bring him up because he scored at least 4 or 5 of his goals against the Black Bears this season. 37 games played. He's got 10 goals, 24 assists for 34 points, 1 power play goal, 1 game-winning goal. And then Matt Lenz is going to probably be in net because Brendan Colgan is on his way to PD. He's out. He's gone. He's out of there. I don't know why.
It's so crazy.
It is. All right. Going into this game, I changed it up a little bit, being Gavin Yates and CJ Stubbs are probably going to be golfing somewhere. They're going to literally they're going to get in a car and they're going to drive as far south as they can get to a golf course for the weekend. And I don't blame them. Guys, go enjoy yourself. Take the weekend off. We got this. We got this. All right. We'll put the legend out on skates. We'll put John Brown out there. We'll put Jeets out there if we need to on skates. Maybe Sherwood could lace him up. Apparently at the practice last night, he and Coach Q actually got on the ice and they actually practiced and they did a little scrimmage, green versus black. So maybe they could play. So we're good. Ivan Bondarenko leads the team right now with 40 games played, at least of the guys who are not suspended. 12 goals, 56 assists for 68 points, 1 power play goal, 1 shorthanded goal. Mac Jansen, 37 games played, 28 goals, 23 assists. He was so gassed, he probably needs to take the weekend off. 51 points, 9 power play. I'm only kidding, by the way, so don't go tell Mac Jansen that I said he was gassed. Everybody else said he was gassed. 9 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 7 game-winning goals for Mac Jansen. Boy, I'm just a comedy routine tonight. Austin D'Orazio, 35 games played. A fight now. We'll throw that in there. 16 goals, 26 assists for 42 points, 11 power play goals, and 2 game-winning goals. Look at that. You take away 2 of our best players out of there, and we still beat out the other team. That's just crazy. Dominic Tomei has 20 wins on the season, so he got 2 more wins over the weekend. 2 losses with a 2.08 goals against average and a 922 save percentage. And on the specialty teams, I already said it, Black Bears are ranked first, 65 power play goals, 28%. On the PK, they're ranked first with 23 power play goals allowed. I think Port Huron got 2 power play goals against the Black Bears this weekend. The Wolves are ranked 9th on the power play with 31 power play goals, 19%. On the PK, they're ranked 12th, 48 power play goals against, 76%. Again, if you get into the box up in Watertown and you're not a Black Bear, then we're probably going to score on you. Just saying.
But to the point of, throwing Brant out there, I don't know, based on what he was saying during the Tully's Good Time show, it sounded like he was pretty gassed out there for their practice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
so maybe
I would lace him up.
maybe it's not a good idea. Q could probably do it. He's working out a little bit more than Brant is probably. So, but yeah. All right. Well, glad to have you back, Taylor. Thank you. Apparently you leave. I get really badly sick and can only do 1 show on my own. So there was that. Did you guys actually listen to that show that I did on my own?
Yes, I think so.
I guess not.
It might have been on.
Wow.
I don't remember if it was on the way home or not.
Oh, wow.
No, it was.
Because that was the Coach Q interview.
It was one of the day. And I think that's part of the reason that he started listening to. I don't remember. It's all a blur to me at this point. My memory is so horrible. Like I probably couldn't remember the days in order of what we did.
So fans
probably laugh at me about it.
Fans, my feelings are hurt. She doesn't remember listening to me, so she's off the show for 1 show because I was too sick to do a second show by myself. And Taylor just I see how it is. Okay.
I know. I take a week off and everything goes to shit apparently.
For the team and for the show. It's been a bad week. It's been a bad week for everybody. Thank God they won 2 games because otherwise, whew. And thank God people listened to the Coach Q interview because they probably weren't listening to me rambling all on my own. They probably were like, when's this guy going to shut up? When's the girl going to start talking? Because I don't want to listen to him no more. I'm sure there was those comments that were out there. So,
See, that's what I do remember about listening to the show is you talking about you're just talking yourself and that it was just going to be you. So we did listen to it. I just don't remember.
You don't remember what I said. It wasn't important anyways. Trust me. It wasn't. It really wasn't. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show and please subscribe. That would be great. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. And please don't pick on me too much for this episode of the Power Play Post Show. I'm still recovering. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob LaPaulis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, forward Nick Swain. I am Bob Howard. She is the glue of the show.
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.